applications like the Amazon books, where you can actually go online and pay for books. So if our publishers have their titles online, then we can go online and pay for them. We should also take opportunity of the e-books that present themselves now, because we're talking only about the physical books, but the reality of today's society is that we have e-books, and we should not discourage children from reading e-books. Children should be encouraged to read in whichever format they feel comfortable in. And I think that what is important is that they read. So whether it's the physical book, whether it's the e-book, the important thing is that they read. So how can we explore the advent of e-books to ensure that we get books more readily available to all nooks and crannies of the country, to the unreached, to the underserved? That is more easy in an electronic environment. And I think that the advent of the e-books present a real opportunity for us to distribute books across the country to the unreached, the unserved, underprivileged, and what have you. It will actually bridge the divide, the book famine, in rural areas as well as in urban areas. And I think these are opportunities going forward that we should be looking at.
I was so inspired by hearing the Walking Book Project and all the students talking. And what it made me think of was somewhat similar project in South Africa. In Cape Town, there's an area called District 6. Actually, many of the most famous writers came out of there: Alex Lukuma, Bessie Head, and musicians like Abdullah Ibrahim. It was a very multicultural area that was then declared a whites-only area and stripped away. And it's a huge, important place in South African history. But what's happened is that then now, after the end of apartheid, people are moving back, and there's a great District 6 museum. But part of that is not just a museum, it's a huge, vibrant place. And one of the things that's being done is similar to the Talking Book Project. Young people are being told to go and interview their grandmother, interview the elders, to find out what was life really like back in District 6, in those kind of golden days. But then the important part of that, I think, is that these older students, maybe junior and senior high students, are then going back and they're telling what they've learned to the younger students. They're sharing them, and they're becoming what the museum is calling District 6 ambassadors, youth ambassadors. And so what I want to talk about is the idea of peer-to-peer teaching and peer-to-peer reading. And I think that one thing in my own daughter's school, I was impressed. She was in a joint third, fourth grade mixed class, and she told me, "Mom, it's great. My classmate, my big sister, she's teaching me how to speed read." And she really learned so much. I was impressed by her. And they've also instituted sort of this reading buddy system. So a 6th grade student is paired with a 1st grade student, and once a week, the 6th grader reads to the 1st grader. And thinking about this idea of, we're having celebrities read to children, which is a great thing, and Nollywood stars talking about the importance of reading. But I think, and maybe you're already doing it, I think it's very important to have not just that, but to have the older students come and read to the younger students. And not only that, but if you think of your great Walking Book Project, if those students who reported and did the book can then go to the very young students and say, "This is our book. We wrote this book. We're going to read it to you." I mean, it's one thing to think I could be like a Nollywood star, but when your mentor, your role model is your big sister, your elder brother, I think it's such a great possibility, and I think really something that has worked and can really, really work. Because then it's like, I can be a writer. This junior high person, she's not just a reader, but she's a writer. I can do that.
Can we find creative ways of getting our kids and students reading again? Listen to this fascinating narration and idea by Joyce Daniels during that first panel.
I've seen a model work that I would like to propose can be adopted, and I'll ask to Professor Briggs about the possibility of expanding it. My 11-year-old son attends a school where it is compulsory for the children, primaries 1 to 3, to summarize, to read, summarize, report, and submit on 20 books every term. And for primaries 4 to 6, 25 books every term. My son is in primary 6. So at the end of primary 6, he would have read 405 books. Now, let me tell you this. He has never had to attend any extramural classes, like you said, because he grabs information like a magnet, and he asks for nothing else right now but books. He gives I wanted to suggest it about 3 years ago when he was 8 years old. He's turning 12 this year. And this is one of the reasons why I insisted he stayed through to primary 6. Because most secondary schools don't offer that. Now, that school is starting their secondary school this year. Of course, I want him to stay there because they already have this same plan on a higher level for secondary school. In my own case, I was an FGC at Buloban Secondary School. SS2, SS3, I had a particular teacher who gave us, this was dictation, but I thought about it, if it were books, how different it would have been. She gave us 10 words dictation every day, that's 5 days. So by the end of the week, we had 50 words every day, every week. And our take-home weekend assignment was to get to the dictionaries and define those words. Hence, my vocabulary today. Yes. So imagine if we had the assignment to read 5 books a week and summarize and report every week. We would have had 5 times 4. I haven't done the math. I would have done it before I came out here. But I'm sure somebody can very quickly pick up those figures and do the math and give it to us. So now, Professor Briggs, is it possible that even at the university level we can introduce this? For example, I studied human anatomy, but I read so many books that had to do with anatomy but on a relaxed level, like Every Woman, and there's other one, Total Health. There were books on the body and all, but they were not school textbooks. Now we can say something like, for every student, every semester, I will give it credit load, minimum 3 credits. You read these books, these are the books of the semester, 3 of these books. So number 1, they don't have to buy it, the libraries are there, they must go there. We read them and it will be like all what we do in project, oral defense. At the end of every semester, there is somebody to hear what your thoughts are on that book. And we would ask questions that if you didn't read that book, you cannot answer. And you've lost 3 credits. He talked about Madam, you talked about how do we get the books now to the youth, how do we make them read the books. This is one of the ways. From yesterday, 2 days ago, when we talked with the children who wrote the 100 years River State Sight and Sound of the Children, almost all of them who came out said, if you will give us more assignments like this, it will make us do more. Parenting is not just about allowing children to do what they want to do. Just the same way in nation, we must give assignments to get results. I remember Lee Kuan Yew at the point had to start arresting parents whose children were not in school. That is why the parents began to send their children to school. We have to put something down to make us get what we want. I don't know what exactly South Korea did. How did you enforce it? But I know there was some sort of enforcing measure to make sure people read. So this is someone in the... we also want the solution here and now to say within this first year of Port Harcourt being the World Book Capital, University of Port Harcourt has implemented this. All all the public schools have implemented that. Coco Kanaway, you are close to the government and the policy makers, well, I'm assuming. And I know that you can say, okay, for the end of Rainbow Book Club, we can say we'll put in those 300 people we have trained. At the end of every term, they will go and receive the book reports for the children. Now, in those book reports, the children must write the publisher, the writer, the year it was published. So my son picks a book at 11 years old. Right now, the book he is reading, not for school, his personal, because now he has his personal schedule, is There Was a Country by Chinua Achebe. Yes. I bought it last year, and I read it, and the other day he just came to my personal library, and he goes, Mom, I've not read this one, and I think, these were his words that I didn't remember, I didn't forget, because it stunned me the way he said it. He said, because I think I'd like to know about Nigeria from the perspective of this gentleman. So you tell me, can we do this? I believe we can. We've talked enough. Let's do it. Our book clubs at the primary and the secondary school level, we've started it. When I talked about, just to say we are doing what you've said, we've started it. At the book club level, at the primary and the secondary schools, when the children read the book, I didn't say, we have workbooks for every book they read. So the primary school children are reading a book a week. What's the max? 50-something books in the year. It's not as much as you've said, but we've started it. And there's a workbook for every book. And the questions, because the workbook, we have to fill it and submit it to us at the end of the week. The questions are such that you can't answer them if you haven't read the book. And then, they get rewarded at the end. As they read the book faithfully, they get recognized and rewarded. So we have started that. The reason we gave them just a book a week is because they have so much schoolwork to do. And we didn't want, we are promoting reading for leisure. We didn't want it to look like another subject or another school book. So we carefully chose books that are not voluminous for that age group, so that they have the time as well. Because a lot of the children in the public schools will tell you maybe after school they go and sell for their parents, they are cleaning, they don't have time to read. But because of the attractive volume of the books we are giving them, we can't accept that excuse. So you are able to read that book in the week, fill the book and send it back to us, because these are some of the things we are going to use to measure impact at the end of the year. So, but thank you very much for what you've said. I really did. One of the stories I share, like when my French friend took me to her home for out-of-school children, one of the stories I shared was the story of Ben Carson, the surgeon, the heart surgeon, who was at the bottom of his class, himself and his brother. They had a mother who wasn't educated, but their mother knew that books was a window to a world of possibilities. So she forced those boys to go to the library and borrow 2 books every week. And they were not happy with what their mother did, but they were reading 2 books a week. And they rose to the top of their class. And today Ben Carson is one of the greatest surgeons America has produced.
I hope you have enjoyed today's show. Please let's hear from you through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasomo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.